gold's going crazy. So 2 questions.
Yeah.
Why is it going crazy? And does it get going crazier?
I think it will. It's trading up near $4,000. It's had a huge run over the last 2 or 3 years. And one of the biggest reasons, of course, it's your typical hedge against a big market crash. And we're closing in, Doug, on 3 years of 20% gains. I mean, the Nasdaq's up 17%, even after a 20% pullback. So we're closing, and there's a lot of people that are just like, I got to have some other asset. I have to have some other asset. But the interesting thing is, and China has all but said that they're buying as much as they can get a hand on. Big major central banks, because of the huge debt that's all across the world in emerging markets and the Western markets, gold has been, there have been constant central bank buying, constant, and there's no signs that it's going to abate at all. Because, there's X amount of supply, and you have to get more in terms of just liquid gold bars. You got to mine more. And, it's an expensive process. But the miners, I wrote a post on this, the miners have over the last 2 or 3 years have even outdone the AI-related stock rally for tech stocks, which it seems almost impossible to believe. But there's a guy down in San Antonio at U.S. Global Investors named Frank Holmes. And I've known this guy for a long time. He's been the proverbial gold bug. I've known this guy since I was a institutional sales guy at Lehman Brothers. And I used to go down there and call on him. And he was like, Lee, gold's going to go to 5,000. And at the time, it was probably, 1,000 or 1,200. And he pounded the table on this. So he thinks it's going to 7,000. And he also thinks silver can have a huge run. And which it already has, but again, same thing, demand. And the difference is for the miners is that a lot of those miners, the big ones, Agnico Eagle, Barrick, the companies like that, they also mine copper, silver, and other items that are used in industry. So I think it could go higher. Does it go to 7,000? That's a long way from 4,000. That's another 75%. But I think it's possible it has more legs.
Well, it could end up also being part of a flight to safety, because this market can't run like this forever.
No.
So if people start to get really nervous, if the market starts to sell off, if you see it down 20% and people are really sweating that it might go down more, there will start to be a flight to safety, across several asset classes. So is gold going to go to 7,000? I don't think so, but could it be up from here? I think it could.
Oh, absolutely. I think 5,000 is definitely in the cards in the next couple of years. And that's what Goldman Sachs thinks. The interesting thing about all of this is, for years, our friend Warren Buffett has no gold. He doesn't think it's a tradable or useful asset. And I'm like, okay, well, and I get it, because we've never, in the 15 years that we've written about it at 24/7, we've never said, well, you better go load the boat on gold. But what we did always maintain is, you need to keep 5%, 6%, 7%, something like that as a hedge. And, then you have a commodity in there. And so I think you're right. If things start to get dicey, people will run to the gold or the miners because they pay a dividend. And if you try to go to T-bills, those T-bill yields 12 months ago and longer were great, but now they're not that great anymore. And those yields have all come down. So it'll be interesting to see where the safe harbor is if things do get nasty, which I will guarantee you, Paul Tudor Jones is right about this. He said it can go higher, but we're going to get a blow off top, and then we're going to have another sell off like we did probably earlier this year. That's 20%.
Yeah, that would not shock. It has to. Look, I understand people who are maybe 30 years old or something like that. I got to tell you something. This has the look of a market. I've seen this 4, 5, 6 times in my lifetime, reading back another, 15 if you go back a century. This is a classic prelude to a major collapse.
It really is. It really is. Now, it's interesting. In this article I saw with Paul Tudor Jones, he didn't liken it as much to the .com collapse because he said, a lot of these companies that have been involved, the Mag 7 companies, they make money.
Oh no, I know that.
But still, it's just all the forward multiples have just been pushed so hard that at some point somebody's got to come in and sell. And something like you were alluding to, something always happens. Something will happen that'll kick it off, and you know, nobody wants to be the last one to shut the door.
No, nobody does.